Welcome everyone back to weekly weather updates, and in today's video we're going to have a look at the latest from the live radar, run for the UKV, have a look at the precipitation and the temperature over the next 5 days, as it is turning unsettled. It has turned unsettled in the past 24 hours and is going to remain unsettled throughout the rest of the week. We are seeing some persistent rain around at the moment, and that will sweep eastwards and northwards over the next 12 to 24 hours, and once it clears it is still going to be showery, but actually it is looking a little bit more on the up for Wednesday and Thursday. Friday though, we could see returns of showers or more widespread showers and maybe a few thunderstorms, and generally temperatures are around or slightly above average, as the air mass isn't actually cooling down all too much. It is cooler than the past weekend where we got up to towards 28 degrees, but it is still generally around average or slightly above. Now this sort of pattern is looking likely to continue for the next week or so at least, where it is staying unsettled, low pressure around, showers around, nothing completely overwhelming, but not bone dry either, and temperatures generally pretty pleasant. As we'll see from the ensemble chart at the end of the video, the upper air temperatures actually are pretty stationary over the next week or so, which, if you like, generally slightly above average temperatures, which is around high teens, if not 20 degrees this time of year, then it is looking pretty perfect out there. There are some tentative signs of some higher pressure making more of a concrete return around the day 7 to day 10 time frame, but at the moment it does look like we're going to kind of be sandwiched between areas of high pressure and low pressure. So as I said, not overwhelming in terms of unsettled conditions, but not bone dry either. So do remember, if you enjoy my videos, make sure to like and subscribe, and remember to follow me on Twitter as well, the link's in the description. Now to start on the live radar, you can see this big weather front that has crossed many western areas and has given pretty miserable conditions for many. Towards the east though, it's actually been not too bad. We've hung on to some of the warmer air, and it has been generally dry, so temperatures here got up in towards that 20 to 22 degree range. Won't be this warm tomorrow, or through Tuesday afternoon most likely will be back into the teens. This rainfall will sweep eastwards, so for in the morning into the early afternoon we are likely to see quite a bit of rain around, but it is losing its intensity, so it will become lighter and more fragmented. So the far east of England might not see all too much, if I'm being completely honest, but you can see it is, as of around 10:30, moving slowly eastwards this evening, as it will slowly fragment away. Now do look at the temperatures. You can see it is warmest east of the weather front. Temperatures still into the high teens in some of these East Anglia, East Midlands and North East England areas, but as I said, it will be turning cooler. Further westwards, not too cold. Temperatures, as I said, generally still around average or above average. It's not actually too bad, but it's just slightly cooler than it has been recently. Now do look at the latest UKV. You can see the rainfall spreading northwards and eastwards through the rest of this evening into the morning, and you can see it could pep up for a time around the morning towards London in East Anglia, but it will slowly lose its intensity through the morning into the afternoon, where it really should just be areas of light to moderate precipitation slowly dissipating away. It will though continue until Tuesday evening, so some areas it could be kind of on and off rain all day, so not a washout, but not particularly pleasant either. Further southwards and westwards, we will see dry conditions pushing in, but maybe a few heavy showers or thunderstorms, and temperatures could rise. We see some sunshine, that sunshine will be limited, and where we see sunshine, that is likely to pop off some convection, as you can see across the Republic of Ireland. As we head into Wednesday, it doesn't actually look all too bad. Maybe a few showers during the afternoon and a bit of persistent rain, perhaps across East Anglia, some thicker cloud, maybe a decaying weather front there, but it doesn't look too bad apart from that. Again, a few showers and storms across parts of the Republic of Ireland. As we move into Thursday though, shower activity will increase. Now it's actually not looking as active as it was yesterday or the day before, which is positive signs, but still looks pretty active across the Republic of Ireland. That could be the place to be for showers and storms in the next few days. Further eastwards, northwards and southwards, it doesn't actually look all too bad. Some bigger cloud, a few showers, but altogether not terrible. As we head into Friday, still some showers and a bit more shower activity across England and Scotland, but again, pretty isolated and pretty small in terms of their size. And the same can be said for Saturday. Again, a few showers around, but not looking all too bad. So although the synoptic pattern isn't actually looking particularly great, we are generally under lower pressure with low pressure nearby. You can see actually from the precipitation chart, it is going to be showery, but not too bad. If you are caught under the showers, then you probably look at this and say, oh, it's horrible. But if you avoid the showers all day, then you'll probably say it's a nice warm summer's day. Now, if you look at the temperatures, this afternoon, 20, 22 degrees in the east, but most areas back into the teens. Tomorrow, most will be in the teens, maybe could nudge a 20 degrees either side of the weather front in the east, but generally around that mid to high teens mark. As we head into Wednesday, temperatures will rise slightly higher, more towards the 20 or 21 degree range with a bit more sunshine around. And the same can be said for Thursday, maybe even 22 degrees there. And then finally into Friday, again, hovering around the high teens or 20 degrees. And the same for Saturday. So you can see generally average to just about above average towards that 20 to 22 degree mark. So for me personally, this is pretty perfect warm weather during the day. It's warm, sunny, pleasant in terms of the feel like temperature, not ridiculously warm and humid, but warm enough to have a t-shirt and shorts on from the looks of this. So actually doesn't look all too bad. It did look a lot worse a day or two ago for this week. Definitely looks like it's brightened up and the shower activity has reduced. Now, after you have a look at what is in store for the longer term prospects, you can see the low pressure pushing in at the moment. This is why we thought it could be pretty terrible this week, but the low pressure doesn't really hold on. It moves to our south and it fills in. You can see your high pressure is still generally in control to our north, but low pressure is trying to nudge up from the south, and that increases the shower risk around the day 7 mark. Beyond that, low pressure tries to push back in, but we do see tentative signs of some higher pressure firmly starting to build in. Still weather fronts coming in off the Atlantic with low pressure to our north, but for many, it does at least towards the last few days of this run remain fairly warm and fairly dry. If compared to the GEM run, again, low pressure pushing in at the moment, so fairly unsettled. Low pressure slowly filling in, high pressure still generally in control towards the day 10, but again, seeing that low pressure just nudging up from the southwest. High pressure firmly controlled to the north, low pressure to the southwest, it actually starts to drop us southeasterly. That could turn it quite a bit warmer. Now, there isn't anything too insanely hot across the Mediterranean at this stage for us to tap into, but it's slightly above average. And if we do zoom into the United Kingdom, temperatures would likely be into potentially the mid-20s there, or even high 20s if we gave a day or two of that warmth to build. So that's a positive signal there if you're looking for something warmer again towards the end of May. Finally, if compared to the ECMWF, again, low pressure in control in the south, but slowly moving away before high pressure returns, but not as firmly over the top of us. There's still showers around. Actually, at day 10 here, low pressure does push back in. Plenty of northern blocking, and it kind of traps this low nearby, keeps us generally quite cool and pretty unsettled, if I'm being completely honest. We would see quite a bit of rain with this coming in off the Atlantic. So ECMWF close to being positive, but not particularly great in that longer term because we see that trapped low. If we finish by looking at the ensembles, you can generally see, as I said, pretty much a horizontal upper air temperature chart here for the next week or so, generally hovering around the 5 or 6 degree mark, about 2 or 3 degrees above average. You see beyond that into the last period of May, some very warm runs, some slightly cooler runs, some general deviation there. You can see the precipitation spikes pretty high at times this week. Not seeing that reflected all too much in the UKV, so maybe the more low resolution models like these ensembles are overdoing it a little bit later this week, but we will have to see. Maybe it's picking up more towards the weekend and start of next week, around that 19th, 20th of May point. But a little bit of a drop off in the long term, but nothing massive. So not a huge signal for something drier and warmer, but perhaps a bit of a positive there. And you can see that's emphasised here on the pressure. Pretty low in the next couple of days, or low pressure dominant, let's just say. It's not ridiculously low, not down to 960 millibars or something like a named storm would be, but it's lower than it's been recently, and you can see a general upwards trend, so a positive trend for drier conditions. And finally, if we compare to the ECMWF ensembles, very similar. Fairly horizontal precipitation charts here, and generally fairly horizontal temperature charts here, with a bit of a rise in quite a few runs in the longer term, but also a bit of a drop, so perhaps a bit more signs of a more amplified jet stream, which would allow warmer or cooler air masses to push in. So perhaps that could be something a little bit more volatile towards the end of May. And then you can see precipitation is actually still fairly high. Some dry days this week, but it definitely looks like these longer range charts outside of the day 5 time frame of the UKV starts to go very unsettled once again. But before we call that, we'll definitely wait until the UKV has a say. As you can see, the UKV has dumbed down their shower risk this week compared to a couple of days ago, so perhaps it will do the same for the weekend and next week as well. But we will have to see exactly how it does play out. But at the moment, not looking too bad this week. Not as good as last week, but still we will see some plenty of drier and generally warm weather in places. So as I said, thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed. Subscribe if you're new, and I'll see you again for another video soon.